Alright guys, back here with another video, and this time we're going to do an updated Tearlament Deck Profile post-June 2023 ban list. And yes, I am coping. This is one of my favorite decks at this point of all time because it combines all of my favorite things in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! I get the self-mill, I get the shuffle back and recycle resources, as well as Fuse, Synchro, XYZ, all in the same deck. And you also get the Link Summon occasionally as well. Just to extend plays. And it's just crazy how versatile the deck is and how fun the deck is at the same time. And yeah, also before we get into it, make sure you're smashing the like button, leaving a comment below what you want to see next. Our team does have a lot of deck profiles they are working on when it comes to dinos, sprite updates, branded updates. We do have a branded profile already on the channel if you haven't checked it out already for the new ban list. And make sure you're leaving your thoughts in the comments section. And also, if you want a custom playmat or a custom hoodie or take flight shirt or anything like that, check the link in the description to our Shopify and or email us at airfairgaming@gmail.com. Let's go and get into it. So this build is 42 cards, and if you see any suggestions, make sure to leave those comments below. Got 2 copies of Rhino Heart. This card is super good, mainly because it allows you to make Collided Heart and send any fusion material straight to the graveyard. If you already have materials in graveyard and you've already got your play started, this card becomes amazing, especially if you mill it and you have a card to discard in hand. And you know that the one-ofs in the deck, because Konami decided they wanted to limit them all to 1. Merrily, Hiveness, and Sharon. These cards allow you to fuse when they're sent to the graveyard, and they are super strong. I wish they were more copies, especially this card. I love Sharon. She's the heart and soul, really, at getting your play started, because it does trigger a lot of your effects. Then 3 copies of Tearlament Deck. Now, this card allows you to mill 3, and it's a quick effect, and it's a body for level 7. Really strong. This card's just super good. I can't really say much more about it. Also, if you mill it, or get sent to the graveyard by card effect, you get to mill 2. So a lot of times both effects coming up at the same time. 3 copies of Diviner of the Herald. Now this is where the deck becomes like super reliant on this card existing, the way it's currently built. And basically it's going to send your limited copies of Agito or Keldo. Or Kelbeck, sorry. It also can send, and these will mill both players 5 cards, or you could send these guys to the graveyard, and this allows you to get your shufflers online, which is really nice. Sometimes you're fortunate enough to hit these guys early, and then your plays are just popping off, milling you, triggering all your effects, which is crazy, and then your shufflers are just silly themselves. This also manipulates this level by 4 whenever you send one of these to go. So it allows you to set up 6 plus 4 is 10 for Baron for synchro plays because it is a tuner. You can also overlay into Beatrice with that card, which is really nice. With Garuba. Herald went to 2. Why not play Herald at 2? We do have a lot less fairies. Currently, if you look at this build, there's 6 if you include Herald, 7, 8, 9, and we're also playing 2 copies of Curry Carl, making 11 copies of fairies in the deck. You could play a 3rd copy of the Curry card, but this card is not crazy going first, but it's crazy going second, obviously. But both of these cards are crazy going second. But if you draw this and you have this in your open hand, you have the ability to discard a fairy, which is really nice. But this is like a kaiju that just happens to be a fairy, which is really cool. And then, speaking of kaiju, this technically could be a 3rd Curry card if you wanted it to be, or you can make this into Gamma Seal. It really depends on your preference, but this card specifically is a dark, so you can make different fusions with it. Like you can make Mud Dragon with it, which is really nice sometimes as well. So keep in mind that there's not that many darks in the deck currently the way it is assembled, so this just will help you go into Mud Dragon, which is nice. And 3 copies of your King of Swamps. This is a substitute for Kikalo, since that card is no longer legal. So this is all you can make Rokalos. You can also make Grapha, the fusion, and you can also use this to substitute for Rhino Heart sometimes. And it's an Aqua Monster, so it can be used for Rhino Heart, Collider Heart as well. because it requires aqua monsters. And it also digs for polymerization. In this current build, there is no Guardian Chimera in the extra deck, which you can if you want to find room for it, but that play never really came up that way because of just didn't. But I could see myself adding it back in to my extra deck. I have to really think about what I want to cut, though. To the field spells, you got 3 copies of Pirlino and 1 Terraformant. No copies of the Tearlament field spell, or the Kashtira field spell in this build specifically, but I did like it before when I was playing it as like a one of, so I may think about putting it back into 1. But I was trying to go with a slimmer deck rather than a thicker deck. Like before, I was saying a lot more cards. 1 copy of Foolish Barrier Goods. It could be a second copy in this build, but I'm at 42 cards right now, and I was trying to limit all the once per turn effects. So, we got 1 copy of Foolish Barrel. This is just another way to send the mill fivers to the graveyard. 2 copies of Scream. This card is really powerful, but at the same time, if you don't get a way to put a Tearlament on the board, it is a problem, which you should, in theory, always be able to do so. But if you open up this and the Vonner, it is not the greatest. Unless you hit a Rhino Heart off the top when you mill 5, and then you discard it. But that's nice then. 1 copy of Heartbeat for recycling. This card is really powerful, especially just being able to discard your Kelbeck, and all those cards as well at resolution, and or sending a fusion material to the graveyard with Havnus, Merly, or Sharon. So this card is really versatile. And it hits floodgates. 1 copy of Call by the Grave. This card is silly. It also just lets you get around Shifter. You have 3 copies of Triple T. Now this is where the deck can be flexed a bit. If you feel like this card's not that good for your meta, and you feel like there are not going to be as many hand traps, you can most definitely change Triple T's into something else, and or like take them all out and then add a second copy of Foolish Barrier Goods, or add another Kaiju or something. Totally up to you. These are really the flex spots, because currently this makes it 42, and if you take them out and put in 1 copy of Foolish Barrier Goods, you're at 40 cards. But a lot of times you do want to have a good number of cards in your deck, only specifically in this type of deck, because you want to be able to side easier. 2 copies of Sulik. This is your Fiendish Chain that allows you to fuse and send Clodder to the graveyard. You can also this is also sent to the graveyard. It also allows you to add monster. And your Foolish Barrier Goods target primarily is this, or Scream, or Triff Karma. This card allows you to add any card that has Tearlament. Adds the Visa Starfrost's name, and all your spells and traps do, even Meta Noise, and your field spell. So Meta Noise is a Book of Moon, so super good against Cash. So if you really can set this up against Cash, going first, really strong. And you just banish this after you Foolish Barrier Goods it, or mill it. 42 cards, like I said earlier. 1 copy of Volcalos, 1 copy of Cloudheart, 1 copy of Grapha. This card's really strong. 1 copy of Garura. This card's really powerful as well. 1 copy of Mud Dragon, and 1 copy of Dragostapelia. This extra deck is pretty strong the way it is. You could include a Guardian Chimera if you would like. I'm not sure if it's really necessary. I never really found myself doing it. A lot of times you actually end up polying straight up for like Garura or Mud Dragon, or you can turn one of your other cards, Key to Swamp, into something else. So it's really nice. And then you trigger your fusion effect. 1 copy of Redoer, 1 copy of this, and then 1 copy of Baguska. This triggers your Sheeran, so it's really nice. And then you have 1 copy of Baguska, it's really strong, with Zeus. Got 2 copies of Zeus still. Could take out one of these technically for a Chimera, but you want to have the second copy just in case whenever you're going against Cash. They still do have access to Unicorn, and they will rip it out of your extra deck, so you can't get that play. And this is really strong, and they know it. So, and then if they don't have access, they're obviously not going to take this, so they're going to take something else out of your extra deck. But this is just so you for sure can Zeus them. And then you have access to Beatrice, like I said earlier. This is really powerful. Detach Garua, draw a card, and send Diffuse is really strong in the Dragostapelia. You can also make Zeus with this, but that probably doesn't come up very often. But they're just an option. 1 Barricade board blocker. This card is primarily there to get you your cards out of your hand, like your Kelbeck and your Agito. And that's pretty much it. And then you can turn it into Friend to let you send them early, which is really nice. And 1 copy of Dark. This card's just a good generic link to go into if you need to put on some pressure going second. And then 1 Baron. If you want to make room for like the Guardian's Chimera, you most definitely can though. So 15 cards in the extra, obviously. To the side, currently I have 3 Super Poly, 3 Cosmics, and 3 Bells, 3 copies of the Bestials, so 2 Magnum, 1 Druisworm. Could see myself bumping up to a 3rd Magnum just so I have more hate for the whatchamacallit, the Floodgate of the puppet lock. Sorry, couldn't think for a second. And then 3 copies in the Bureau. This card's still cracked. So, leave your comments in the comment section. So I want to know what you guys think about this build specifically, and make any suggestions because I want to play this at locals on Thursday. I appreciate you guys watching once again, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Deuces.